think we have time for some questions if anyone wants to ask about this holy world of 3D.
I imagine now that you're well known, it's easy, but how did you find your first people with printers? Like the 14-year-old kid, how did you find him to sign up?
Yeah, good question. So the question is, how did we find the first 3D printers to sign up? So we started just very locally, just in Amsterdam. And because we worked in the industry for several years already in Amsterdam, we knew 3D printer owners. Actually, we were the ones selling them. Yeah, we just contacted the people we knew with a 3D printer and asked if they wanted to be a part. Later on, what we also started doing is asking 3D printer manufacturers if they wanted to put a 3D Hubs flyer in every printer box that they shipped. And many of them said yes, because it's also in their interest, right? If their 3D printers are opened up to other people in the community, they're more likely to sell more printers. So that also helped. And another thing we did was, we called it, it went very viral. It's called an Unlock Your City campaign, where we said a city only opens up to our platform and we only accept orders there if at least 10 3D printers are signed up in that city. So what we saw is that people in the community started rallying. They started calling their friends, hey, you got to sign up here in Berlin, for example, and then we're accessible through 3D Hubs. So yeah, all these things worked really well for us.
Yeah, I'm curious about the pricing model you're using. Is it, do you have any influence on that, or is it based on the amount of hours it takes to produce something, or the rarity of the thing, or?
Yeah. So the question is how the pricing works. It's based on the amount of material needed to print the object. So
it could be anything. It could be a car or a camera case, or it only matters how much.
Yeah, and the price is different per material typically. So it's the type of material and it's the amount of material needed. And each 3D printer owner can basically fill that into our platform, and then we do the match. So when a customer uploads a design, we know how much material will be needed to print it thanks to our software, and then we automatically do a price calculation for each 3D print location in your area.
Thanks, great story. What's the next step for 3D Hubs?
Yeah, so we, this is just a start for us. We now see a lot of people making prototypes, cool maker projects, drones, Arduino stuff. But we believe that many consumer products around us can be 3D printed in the next few years. So we got to be the reliable production network that anyone who wants a 3D printed consumer product, people turn to, either individuals or consumer brands. And everything we'll do, we'll be working towards that goal.
Have you been approached by brands yet?
Yeah, we've worked with several brands. One of them is Fairphone, which I showed, and there's also some other very large brands in the pipeline, but these are typically long processes, right? Because it's also very new to them to say, okay, let's give our IP to a whole community of 20,000 3D printer owners. Not all their legal departments always love that. So yeah, it takes a bit more work, but we're building more and more successful use cases which will convince more brands to participate.
Don't you think that like in 5 or 10 years everyone will have a 3D printer at home?
Yeah, good question. I get it a lot. The question is, don't you think everyone will have a 3D printer at home? Yes, I think many people will have a 3D printer at home, and then most people automatically assume we become irrelevant. That's not the case, because there is a lot of fragmentation in the market. So the printers I just showed were desktop 3D printers, but there's also very large industrial 3D printers, which often cost millions of dollars, and which can make objects in other materials. They can make objects with a higher accuracy, more precision, and they can make larger objects. So I think people will use 3D printers initially to print toys, for example, or cookie cutters. But if you want like a gold jewelry piece, or you want to print a chair or a car, then it's very unlikely that will happen at home.
What would you say the coolest thing that's ever been printed through 3D Hubs?
Good question. Maybe I should ask our community manager. The coolest object ever printed on 3D Hubs. Well, one of the initially when we started the company, I was doing, you do everything as a founder, right? So I was also doing customer support. So back then I was more aware of the projects that were flowing through our platform. Now with 100,000 prints, I don't see most of it. What was very cool was one of the first orders that came to our platform was someone placed the order and the person called immediately, like, how fast can it be done? And we're like, yeah, probably it will be a day or something. Why are you in a rush? And he said, yeah, I have a leakage in my house and I need this part to stop the leakage. So that's a story I still remember. Yeah.
What's the biggest lesson you've learned from starting your own business?
The biggest lesson I've learned from starting your own business. Yeah, personally, I've probably learned you can do more than you imagine. When you start your own business, you really put out of your comfort zone, right? So suddenly you're on stage for 500, 1,000 people. You have to hire the first people in your company. How do you do that? Every time, every day, you're learning new stuff. That's very uncomfortable sometimes, but it really accelerates your personal development. So, yeah.
Last question to wrap it up.
How do you see incorporating other industries, say like textiles or other components that would be used in a product? Like if I wanted to print a doll, and the doll has shoes, and it has dresses, and it has this kind of thing.
Yeah, so the question is, how can you incorporate multiple materials with 3D printing? Yeah, that's an important development that has to happen to make 3D printing more relevant and to be able to produce a wider range of products. But it is happening. So we see the first printers have been launched that can do that for example can print plastic and conductive metal material at the same time, which means you can start printing electronics, etc. So there's a lot of development there, and I'm very optimistic about that. Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much, Bram, for sharing your story today. I really enjoyed it and hope you all did too. I think we'll wrap up for this morning. We'll be back next month for another edition of Creative Mornings. So if you don't follow our social media channels or sign up for our newsletter, do that because the tickets go really quick, as you might have seen. Yeah, we'll be here a little bit longer, I think. Feel free to grab another cup of coffee or something to eat. Might be here to answer some more of your questions. I know Ingrid is here if you want to ask them questions or our team. But thanks so much for coming out this morning. Thanks, John.